11, Gloucester Road, Brighton, Bravo November 1, 4, Alpha Foxtrot. Before we kick off, could I just ask the councillors on the panel amongst themselves to elect a chair, please?
Morning, everybody. I'm happy to nominate John.
Oh, hi. Can I second Councillor Hewitt? Thank you.
Councillor Hewitt, you are the chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone. Good morning. So before we begin, we'll just run through some procedural matters. So amongst the councillors on the panel, are there any declarations of substitutes today?
No.
And are there any declarations of request from any of the councillors? No. To go. So no non-public items on the agenda today. So therefore, we will not be excluding the press or the public for any of the items. And we are being webcast live, so all is in open session. So this is an application for a new premises licence for Shine at 111 Gloucester Road in Brighton. Before we begin, we'll just go around with a round of introductions. And as we're meeting virtually, if people could have their cameras on when they're speaking and their microphones off when they're not, please. So I'll begin. I'm Councillor John Hewitt, Councillor for Hangleton Knoll Ward, and a member of the Licensing Committee and chair of today's meeting. Go to my fellow panellists now. Alison.
Good morning. I'm Councillor Alison Thompson, Labour Councillor for Regency Ward, and I am one of the licensing panel this morning. Thank you.
And Ivan.
Morning, everybody. Councillor Ivan Lyons, Conservative Councillor for West Dean and Hove Park Ward.
Thanks, Fair. So I'll go around as I see on my screen. We've got Emma.
Good morning. I'm Emma Grant, Licensing Officer. I'll be presenting the application this morning.
Thanks, Sarah Connell.
Good morning. I'm the licensing officer who's put in a representation against the application.
Thanks, Hannah.
Good morning. My name's Hannah Staplehurst. I'm a police licensing officer here for the Brighton and Hove Division of Sussex Police.
Thanks, and I think just being joined now by Andre as well. Hi, Andre. Just doing introductions.
Hi, apologies for the late delay. I was just sort of that got nabbed in the office. PC Andre Bernasconi, work with Hannah on the Brighton licensing team.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Good morning, Rebecca Sutell, legal advisor to the panel.
Thanks, Frankie.
Good morning, Frankie Mitchell, Democratic Services, and I'm clerking this meeting.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Harris, the owner of Shine, and the reason we're all sitting here this morning. Thanks.
So welcome. And finally, we've got Sarah Booker-Lewis.
Good morning, Sarah Booker-Lewis, local democracy reporter for Brighton and Hove, representing the majority of news media in the city.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Fair. So just a bit of an overview, just for those who are new to these panels. Each person will have an opportunity to present their case, and then in a sort of round robin format, people have the opportunity to ask questions of the representation they've just heard. And at the end of the meeting, everyone will have an opportunity to summarise their representation. So I'm going to pass over firstly to Emma as the licensing officer to introduce the application.
Thank you, Chair. As we've heard, the application is for a new premises licence for Shine, Gloucester Road, Brighton, from Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. till 2000 for the sale of alcohol on and off the premises. The application form states that Shine is the premier hair salon in Brighton that has been established for 18 years. The proposal is the premises will continue to operate as a hair salon with the additional offer of exclusive wine being sold by the glass and the option for the client to purchase a bottle to take home. The applicant has provided supporting information about the application, which can be found on page 28 to 30 of the agenda. There have been 2 representations to the application from the Police and Licensing Authority. The representations received had concerns relating to the prevention of crime and disorder, prevention of public nuisance, and that it falls within the cumulative impact area as defined in the Council's Statement of Licensing Policy. The representations can be found in Appendix C of the agenda from page 33. The Licensing Authority's cumulative impact area, as defined in the Statement of Licensing Policy, was adopted to give greater powers to control the number of licensed premises within the city centre. The special policy was set up because the Licensing Authority determined that the concentration of licensed premises and the subsequent number of people drawn into the city centre is causing exceptional problems of crime and disorder and public nuisance. The effect of this policy is that the application for new premises should normally be refused following relevant representations. The presumption of refusal can be rebutted, bear with me, can be rebutted by the applicant if they can show that their application will have no negative impact on their licensing objectives. The Statement of Licensing Policy includes a matrix approach for licensing decisions with provisions for a term allowance for all classes of licensed premises in a particular area. The matrix model recognises the diverse operation and different risks presented by different classes of licensed premises. It provides a vision of what the licensing authority would like to see within its area and gives an indication of the likelihood of success or otherwise to investors and local businesses making an application. Under the matrix, the application for off sales are not considered favourably in the CIZ. However, such applications must be considered on its own merit. The panel will now hear from all parties and decide whether the applicant has shown exceptional circumstances to depart from this policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. So we'll move on to if anyone has any questions for Emma. And so I'm going to ask, first of all, Emma, you've said the hours for this application are 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. However, in the papers, the representations from the police and the representations from the licensing authority give 2 different sets of times. So you able to,
Sarah Cornell will pick this up in her representation. I believe that there was some discussion about changing of the hours. This happened on a Friday when I don't work, so I wasn't sort of party to it all, but it will be explained, I think, by Sarah.
Oh, brilliant. Thanks, Fair. We come to that in a bit. Thanks, Emma. Anyone any questions for Emma? Oh, Rebecca, would you like to come in?
Oh, it's just that you mentioned, Emma, that there were just 2 representations, and I thought that there was one from Councillor.
Oh, sorry,
Schultz.
There was. Sorry, yes, that was
hasn't-
withdrawn and then reinstated when they realised that off sales were to be included.
Okay, so that's the written representation that.
Yeah,
should.
sorry. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Werner. Thanks for coming in, Rebecca. Ivan or Alison, have either of you got any questions?
No,
Not at this stage, thank you.
No, I was going to raise the same question as you did, Councillor, but no further questions at this moment. Thank you.
Thanks, Fair. Sarah, have you got any questions of Emma?
No, thank you.
Hannah or Andre?
No, thank you.
Thanks. And Jonathan, have you got any questions of Emma? You're on mute, but it looks like you were.
No question. Just clarifying that the salon will only be open till 8 p.m. on a Wednesday and a Thursday.
Okay, thank you. We can tap into that in a bit when we come round. So thanks for that. Okay, so we'll now move on to the representations from the responsible authorities, and we'll begin with Sussex Police. So either Hannah and or Andre, if you'd like to kick us off, please.
Thank you, Chair. That would be me for Sussex Police. So as you've heard, this is a proposed new application in the area of the city, which is subject to a special policy adopted by Brighton and Hove City Council. The premises lies in the cumulative impact area and seeks the sale by retail of alcohol on and off the premises. The applicant did not pre-consult with Sussex Police, and we do not believe they offer any unique reasons why their application should be an exception to policy, or why the statement of licensing policy matrix should be departed from, or fully addresses the local concerns. The applicant has offered some information under Section 18 of their application, but these are minimal workable conditions, and Sussex Police do not believe these go far enough to help mitigate any potential risk in this area of the city. While there is some mention of crime prevention measures such as CCTV, the conditions offered fall short of the current police standard and does not encompass the full range of conditions we would expect or offer any protection for any sale of alcohol in this location, including off-sale purchases. Sussex Police additionally contend that the carrying on of additional licensable activity and therefore the greater availability of alcohol in this area could add to the existing issues in this area. The recent incident and crime statistics indicate that during the period from the 31st of October 2024 to the 31st of October 2025, there were 280 crimes linked to Gloucester Road and the surrounding roads. The majority of these incidents were reported as violence against the person, of which there were 93. We had 74 thefts, 32 were public order crimes, and 10 sexual offences, among other recorded crimes. Additional to this, there were 93 reports of antisocial behaviour along Gloucester Road, and Sussex Police would also like to highlight that 149 of these crimes have occurred between 11 a.m. to 8 p.m, varying across every day of the week. Sussex Police has communicated with the applicant and offered a full proposal which was limited to on sales only and a number of conditions. Unfortunately, this has not been agreed to, and the applicant wished to proceed with the off sales. Paragraph 3.1.2 of the Brighton and Hove City Council 2021 Statement of Licensing Policy states that special policy cumulative impact is defined as the potential impact upon the promotion of the licensing objectives of a significant number of licensed premises concentrated in one area. And further, paragraph 3.1.3 of the Brighton and Hove City Council Statement of Licensing Policy is that the licensing authority, after careful consideration, has determined that the concentration of licensed premises in an area of the city is causing problems of crime and disorder and public nuisance, and therefore an approach to cumulative impact is necessary as part of the Statement of Licensing Policy. So in this area of the policy, the matrix states that there can be a restaurant until midnight, a cafe until 10 a.m, but a pub, an off license or off sales and late night takeaways are a no. So it is for the applicant to demonstrate they will have no negative impact on the surrounding area and expand why this premises should be granted both on and off sales. If they are unable to do this, then the application should be refused as per the local policy guidance and crime statistics. Currently, we do not believe the applicant has gone far enough to evidence why their application would be exception to policy or how it mitigates the risk of off sales and providing a greater availability of alcohol in this area. Therefore, Sussex Police invite the licensing authority to seriously consider this application, and in light of police concerns, local issues and the local authority special policy, we ask that should the panel be minded to grant this application, that it is granted with on sales only and the full police proposed conditions which were attached to the Sussex Police representation letter and are on pages 36 to 38 of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you there, Hannah. So I'm going to open up for any questions of your representation. Anything from the panel members, Ivan or Alison?
Not from me, thanks.
No, not from me either, thank you. Sarah, have you got anything you'd like to ask of Hannah?
No, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. And Jonathan, anything you'd like to ask of the representation?
Yeah. First of all, thanks for the offer of agreeing to just agree to on sales. The reason I wanted to change to adding off sales is because the whole point of the exercise was to just start and put. I mean, I've changed the application in its entirety. Really, initially we wanted to offer maybe some cocktails or some local beer.
Jonathan, sorry to interject. This is for sort of direct questions to Hannah. You'll have an opportunity to present your case in a moment.
Okay. Hannah, do you not feel that restricting sales only to members of a wine club and no walk-in sales from the street sort of helps us stand out in any way? We would only sell to people we know. If we didn't know them, they'd have to join a club to be able to purchase any wine. We would only sell wine. We would only sell wine at the starting price of £13.50, which is more expensive than any other alcohol in the area. Does that in any way set us apart?
Hi, Jonathan.
Hi.
Unfortunately, not from a police standard, just because there are a few places in the city that sort of have exclusive wine clubs that are available out there. For me, the concern from police is just that it increases that greater availability of alcohol in this area. And that's why the off sales for us is sort of the concern. The on sales where you can manage the control and offer the wine to your clients and you've got full control of that is fine. But when the customer leaves your premises and is walking away with the alcohol, they then become vulnerable. They could become a victim of crime. Where they go on and consume the alcohol would be a concern because we can't manage that risk. You can't manage that risk. So that off-sale aspect for us is where we lose that control. And if we keep increasing that opportunity and that availability of alcohol around the city, that's where our crime statistics increase. So unfortunately, it's not something that I can support.
Okay.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
Thanks. Have you got any further questions, Jonathan?
No, that's it really. If all the sort of changes we've made, and we're only agreeing we will only be here till 6:30 and it'll be daytime only. No late nights. Only fine wine from a local.
So no further questions. Thanks. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. So we'll move on to no, thank you, everyone. Move on to Sarah Cornell now to give the representation on behalf of the licensing authority.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, so I make this representation on behalf of the Council's licensing team in their capacity as a responsible authority in relation to this new application. A copy of my representation can be seen from page 39 of the agenda. And as we have heard, the application is for on and off sales of alcohol. And there has been some confusion throughout this application regarding the hours and liaison between the applicant and police regarding potential conditions. At one point nearing the end of the consultation period, the applicant withdrew the off-sales element of the application, but then reinstated it after consideration. This meant that myself and Councillor Shanks withdrew our representations as our main concerns were regarding the off-sales aspect. But the police did not withdraw as they were asking for some conditions to be considered by the applicant. And then once the applicant reinstated the off-sales, both myself and the councillor unwithdrew our reps and maintained, saying that we wanted to keep our representations in place. The applicant will be able to confirm the hours he wishes to apply for, as my representation is different to the original application on page 8 of the agenda. The times are on there, and then an email that the applicant sent to me with the following hours, which state Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday 10 till 8 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 10 until 6:30 p.m. So I think the applicant needs to 100% confirm the hours that he wishes to apply for. This representation is made as the licensing team have concerns that the application could have a negative impact on the licensing objectives of the prevention of crime and disorder and the prevention of public nuisance, and it is against our statement of licensing policy, and the premises is situated in the cumulative impact area. I won't go into that again, as it's been mentioned and explained by the licensing officer and Sussex Police. The licensing team act as guardians of the council's statement of licensing policy, and I make this representation on behalf of them and invite the panel to scrutinise the application and decide if it constitutes exceptional circumstances to depart from our policy today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. So now's the opportunity for panel members to ask any questions. Alison or Ivan, have you got any questions of Sarah?
No, none from me, thanks.
Okay, thanks there. Anyone from Sussex Police, either Hannah or Andre, have you got questions of Sarah?
No, thank you.
Thanks there. And Jonathan, have you got any questions of Sarah's representation?
No questions, Sarah. Just clarify. It's until 8 p.m. on Wednesday and Thursday only. Then the rest of the time it's just the opening hours of the business. So yeah, my apologies if I've got that wrong.
That's okay. Well, Jonathan, we can move on to your representation now, and maybe as part of that, you could really sort of detail what hours for each day, so everyone is very clear on that. If that's okay, if you're happy to start your representation now, please.
Yeah. So the salon is open from 9:30 until 6:30 on a Tuesday. We would only want to serve alcohol between 10 and 6 on a Tuesday, between 10 and 8 on a Wednesday, 10 and 8 on a Thursday, and on Fridays and Saturdays, 10 till 6. The reason for exploring this business opportunity was we're just trying to find. I mean, the health and beauty industry is in a real state, and as you can see, I'm not sure the percentage of hair salons that have closed in the last year, but it's huge, and there's huge government intervention into trying to support small businesses like ours. So to try and offer and trying to set yourself apart is something you continually have to do. And bringing in something like wine, which I know my clients will leave and buy a bottle somewhere else if they don't buy it from me, felt like a sensible thing to try and add into the business. We tried to make it as tight as possible in terms of who can buy the wine. We would, we'd have the names and the addresses of every single person that purchased a bottle of wine, because they would have to join a club in order to purchase a bottle of wine. I believe that if we were able to sell off sales, we could collaborate with local businesses that are all independent businesses around here. This isn't a big chainy area. We could invite those local businesses to come in and do evenings as part of wine tastings, where they could perhaps demonstrate what they offer in the area. And I just think it'll just bring more people into the high street, and we've got to find reasons for bringing people in, because there are shops closing all the time. And I think in January, you will see more shops closing. And we're just trying to stay trading and offer something different, which would be, as I say, very exclusive wines, independent winemakers. You won't be able to buy any of these wines in supermarkets. And we will offer, various evenings where people can, contribute from the local traders as well. I think we are covering the public safety aspect by not selling to anybody that walks in off the street. I hope that helps.
Jonathan, thank you for that. So whilst presenting your representation, we had a flurry of hands up, and we've been joined by Councillor Shanks. I might just
I'm sorry, John. I didn't have this. I had it. It was in my head that at some stage, but it wasn't in my diary. I didn't have an invite, or if I did, because my husband rang me and said something had appeared on my phone saying "come in," but it hadn't been a calendar on my diary. So anyway, I've rushed back from being out, and I'm here now. So if you want me to say my bit, I can go away again, maybe, because.
Well, welcome. We won't pass you out straight away. I was going to refer to Rebecca just in terms of procedure, because what's happened, we've been in session for about 25 minutes now, and Jonathan sort of just presented his representation. So, Rebecca, can you dig us out of this hole, please?
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe we go and hear the rest of Jonathan's presentation and ask
Okay.
questions, and then Councillor Shanks can just
Okay.
add something at the end if she likes. Obviously,
Okay.
because you have made a representation, but I think at this stage, you know, we're dealing with the applicant now.
Yes.
Does that?
Could you check sometime what happened with my invite then? I mean, you know, I don't know who it was. It was maybe me, but I didn't have it as a calendar invite. So anyway, the
That's
panel.
yeah, usually democratic. Well, I don't know. I'm
Anyway,
sure-
Francis sent it. I've got it now because Francis sent it to me, but I didn't have it. Anyway, okay.
yes, I think we'll
I'll wait here and I'll say something at the end then, shall I? Or in 5 minutes or so. Okay.
I
All
will
right.
call you in a moment. So thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. So Jonathan, was everything okay for your representation? You haven't got anything
Yeah,
further
I've said
to add?
that's what I want to say, really.
Brilliant.
I think,
Thank
you know,
you.
nothing different from the application. I mean, the only changes possibly to consider is the times. And I can't really be more clear than we're trying to cover every single thing to respect the impact zone that we're in. By, as I say, you won't be able to walk in off the street and buy any alcohol here. You have to be a member of a club to do it. And it will be wines that you can't buy in supermarkets. I'm happy to sell at a minimum price of sort of between £13 and £15, which I think is probably slightly different to maybe the off license up the road that's selling 3 bottles of cider for £9 or 2 bottles of vodka for £20. You know, I think their 50% proof by alcohol will be 13%. Okay.
Thanks, Ed. So we'll now move on to opportunity for panelists to ask any questions of your representation. Ivan, would you like to go first?
Thanks, Chair. A few questions. So to the applicant, first of all, just for clarification again, so my understanding is Sunday and Monday you're closed.
That's right.
Tuesday you want to sell alcohol 10 to 6.
That's right.
Wednesday and Thursday 10 to 8.
That's right.
And Friday 10 to 6, or is it 10 to 6:30? Because earlier it was mentioned 6:30 as a time.
10 to 6.
10 to 6,
then-
fine. Okay. So great. That's clarification on the hours. Can you give us a bit more information about how long you've been trading, and also what the Shine Wine Club actually is? How do you join it? How many members part of it? What it constitutes of? So yeah, just more details for those two. Thank you.
We've been trading 18 years.
Yeah.
In this area, and the Shine Wine Club, to be honest with you, we have no members because I haven't got my license yet. The plan is that when we do get a license, we would offer clients of the salon. I mean, the average spend in the salon is about £95, so it's not a cheap salon, it's a premier salon. And we would offer it to any clients that wanted to join. If we wouldn't restrict who could join. Obviously, they'd have to be available, age appropriate to buy alcohol, and they would have to be a member. They'd have to fill in a form, agree to all the terms and conditions of buying alcohol. We would only offer it to clients. If somebody walked in and they were with a client and said, "Oh, actually, could I buy a bottle of wine?" We'd say, "Well, unfortunately, you're not a client. You're not a member. Would you like to join?" If they'd like to join, we could look at the possibility, if it helped, of charging a fee to join that club. I'll consider anything really to make the proposition more palatable and more comfortable for people to be a part of, really. But it was just a simple idea to have a little add-on to what we currently do, and that's all it is. It's just the tiniest amount of space in the salon being used to sell wine. It's predominantly a hair salon, I just didn't want to be treated like an off license.
Yeah, thanks. So, given that you've been trading for 18 years, why the penchant to sell wine now all of a sudden?
It's not all of a sudden. There's nothing sudden about it. I've been thinking about it for about a year. When employment costs have escalated at the rate they have escalated, you're trying to find different ways to make your business work without employing more people, because obviously we're a service business. If we could add something into that business that doesn't require an extra pair of hands, or means I can continue to employ an extra pair of hands, then it's just trying to find an add-on. And my wife works in the wine industry, and I read about a hair salon in London that was doing what we're doing. They'd set up a wine club, and that was in October. And I just thought, actually, maybe I should have a go at trying to do it. So that's all it is.
Okay. And just one final question for me at this stage. The police have given some conditions regarding selling. Would you comply? Would you agree to those?
100%. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, it was my fault, to be honest with you. I didn't realise I should have consulted with them, prior to the application. I thought it was part of the application. But yeah, no problem. We've got CCTV in here. Yeah, we do, no problem to comply with what the police want.
Okay, thank you. No further questions at this stage, Chair. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ivan. Alison, have you got any questions you'd like to ask? Whilst we're waiting, I've got a couple of questions, please, Jonathan.
Yeah.
You say you're not open on a Monday. However, I noticed. Thank you, but I noticed on your website you say you are open Mondays for appointments only. Is that?
Yeah.
So you are open on Mondays?
No, we're not. It's it would be the same. We've got a training event happening, or if a particular client can't make another day, then we would open the salon and I'd come in and do their hair. But it wouldn't be a problem to not sell alcohol on those days. It isn't a general trading day.
Okay, so we could be explicit that Monday and Sundays are definitely
exclude Sundays and Mondays. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification. And for your proposed off sales, would you be envisaging to sell only sealed bottles of wine to the customer, or would you envisage that they could have a glass in the salon and then they can buy the remainder of a bottle to take away?
No, only sealed bottles, because we will have a particular wine that we will be available by the glass only. And if they wanted to buy that bottle, they'd have to buy a
fresh new bottle.
Yeah, we're not getting into that yet.
Okay.
That is a problem.
Thanks for clarifying that. They're the two questions I had. Alison, did you have any questions?
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Yeah. Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks very much for your presentation. I mean, it's funny because I prefaced all of this saying that, back in the day when I used to work in London, I used to go to Trevor Sorbie and they were always giving me wine, but I probably paid a massive premium for my haircut that included the cost of the wine. So what I wanted to work out, I mean, I completely understand why you haven't got any members. Obviously, it's you've got to get your license first. But what I'm trying to there's a couple of things I think that I'm trying to think. So basically, it's good to know that would only sell seal bottles. It's only your clientele who can join the club, presumably, or not. I don't know. Can anyone join it?
They'd be our first port of call, obviously, because they're in the chair and we're having that conversation. I mean, I don't envisage anybody else wanting to join our club. We're not going to promote this on the street, so we're not even going to have a sign outside saying we sell wine. It would, the reason we'd want them to join some sort of a club is that we could then communicate with them. We could then write to them. We could send them,
deals or whatever.
Well, actually, not deals. More.
Okay.
Consumer evenings where we would say, "Would you like to join us? We're going to discuss your hair this evening, and there's going to be a wine tasting for 30 minutes." To get people back into our business all the time and to continue a relationship. So that's it.
But that's interesting because hairdressers tend to have quite I'm speaking personally. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I've had the same hairdresser for years, but still, that's post Trevor Sorbie. But so how many hairdressers are there at your salon? How many are you?
There's about 7 of us.
Okay, that's quite sizable then. I'm curious about the. I mean, I should say, I like this idea because as I say, I sort of think having a glass of wine when you're getting your hair done is great, particularly when you're sitting doing highlights and takes forever. But I mean, obviously that's I suppose it's the off sales thing that bothers me a bit, but I quite like the idea of them being sealed. But what I'm sort of curious about is business, right? Because a couple of things. Yes, I understand that business is really tough. It's a difficult climate out there, and my ward is Regency, right? So I'm all about, you know, trying to help local businesses, you know, and I appreciate it's, you know, it's a difficult climate. I have a couple of questions on the business side of it. I mean, if you say that the hair industry, you know, hair cutting industry or doing hair industry is in crisis, where are people going to get their hair done then, or are they just not getting it cut as often? Or I mean, is that a COVID thing? Is that a post-COVID thing? I don't know.
It's the competition you've got with people setting up in their garages and their bedrooms,
Oh.
people going mobile. So it's sort of the unlicensed aspect that's just being, you know, allowed to happen freely. And so, you know, as a shop owner paying rates and VAT, we're competing against somebody that's opened up in their bedroom, or in their garage, or working from home, and that's now a new competition. And
got you. Okay.
You know, and also sort of all the barbershops that have been in the press, with the money laundering thing. You know, we're competing against all of these sorts of things as legitimate business, and so to have some sort of an add-on.
But are you competing against those barbers? Because you said to me that the average spend in your salon is 95 quid, and I would suggest that those barbers are a hell of a lot cheaper than that.
Well, we would still feed children at a lower price on a certain days of the week. Gents would pay slightly less. You know, if they're coming in for just a quick clipper cuts, it'd be a 30-minute appointment rather than a 1-hour lady appointment.
Right.
You know,
Have you thought? I mean, one of the other things. Sorry, go on.
Everybody's competition in some shape or form, you know.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So, in terms of employment costs, I'm because I don't know what model you operate on, but I mean, from my understanding, and you know, the hairdresser that I go to at the moment, who's up in sort of West Hove, they rent the chair, so they're actually self-employed. Do you don't operate that model? Because you were just saying about
we do a hybrid option. So we have out of the 7, 2 people are self-employed and freelancers, but everybody else is employed. So I have been impacted by national insurance cost increases, and we also, unlike many salons now, we still offer an apprenticeship scheme. We are bringing young people through. You know, we've just got one that's just about to qualify that will be given a job.
That's brilliant.
And we've had one that qualified at the end of last year that worked for us and has now gone to be a hairdresser somewhere else. So we don't operate that business model, and we are supporting young people. But you know.
Yeah, well, that matters. I mean, that's
harder.
great.
Well,
No, but I mean, that's you know, that's great. I have another question for you, which is, have you thought? Because if you're saying that business is tough, have you thought about opening extra hours? Because you're saying that you're shut on a Sunday and Monday. Would you
staffing
not think
is the problem for that time? Just finding the right staff. Yeah, I mean, we have been open 7 days in the past, but at the moment, trying to get staff, just like your restaurants are closing Sundays and Mondays because they can't get staff. Same in hairdressing, very difficult to get staff.
Yeah. So it's not about
business isn't tough, Alison. We're doing fine. It's just a way of maintaining that and looking at making sure we're still here in 12 months' time and giving us a point of difference. Because you know, there are hundreds of hair salons on the high street, and you just continue to try to find that thing to set you apart. And this little initiative was something that I just think is a little bit interesting. It will get clients when they go home saying, "Oh, actually, I had this glass of wine in the salon today, where I get my hair cut." You know, it's continued to keep people talking about my business when they're not here.
If people, so I have another question for you, and this is a bit, I don't know, it's again, I'm just trying to understand the sort of businessy aspect of it, because are you going to charge people to join your club? No,
we won't charge them to join the club. If they're clients. If they're not clients, we might look at introducing a charge if that's preferred. No, we're not going to charge them to join the club.
No, that's interesting. That's fine. I mean, I'm just curious. You know, as I say, I'm just. I mean, I suspect if you want people to come and pay for wine in your salon, then to charge them to do that is possibly going to put them off. But then I was also wondering about, because you mentioned about the price of a bottle was sort of 13 to 15 quid, and I was thinking, I mean, is that like a very big markup? I mean, because if people are paying 95 quid average spend for a haircut, would you not want to be doing a bit of a premium bottle and then charging a premium price? I don't know.
The entry level bottle would be about £13, and the reason I've been stipulated that is because I just thought it makes it really easy for you to understand, then, or the committee to understand what a premium bottle of wine is and how it sets it apart from, you know, litre bottles of cider that are being sold.
I understand.
£5 bottles of vodka. So I just thought if you needed to ever come and investigate what we are doing. And if I've got bottles of wine on the shelf and I've told you they'll be £13 and they're £5, then I'm in breach of that, aren't I? And it's simple for you to police. You know,
I was just wondering if there was because presumably there's a markup on there. That was my point.
Yeah,
If you're
Excuse
talking
me,
about
but
retailing,
I've just
it's
come
13,
to say something here. I'd like to say something because
Well, Sue,
I forgot to get, and I just
Sue,
think
I
this
will
is all
call you in.
completely irrelevant. I know, but this what we're hearing now is not relevant to your
Oh, I don't-
licensing panel. I'm not on licensing, but I know that this is not relevant.
So
I'm sorry,
basically,
but
so
no,
basically,
don't address me. I'm waiting for my turn. I'm just making a point. I will be
Sue-
complaining afterwards. What you're doing here is not relevant to your decision.
I'm interested in his business model, Sue, and I think that actually it is interesting because this is the point, right? Well, you're on mute. Sorry, I am interested, and I think it is important because I think it's important to understand the background. For me, it's important to understand Jonathan's background. Oh, she's switched her camera off. Anyway, this is not, you know,
I'm here, I'm waiting patiently, and I just think this is not. But anyway, it's up to you how you conduct the panel. If you would
So yes, it is.
give me a chance, I could go away for 10 minutes. But I was in the middle of doing something, and then I realised that this was happening at late notice, and I'm sorry about that. I really apologise. So it would be good if I could just make my point, and then I'll leave you all to discuss business at hairdressers for the rest of the morning. Thank you.
Sorry for we've inconvenienced you, but I know we will carry on with this panel in the way which I wish to chair it. And we will come to you. I fully understand if you've got other things to be doing. So we will come to you and you can choose to leave if you wish. Alison, have you got any further questions?
No,
Jonathan?
and I think my line of questioning is absolutely reasonable, Jonathan, because
Yeah,
I'm
thanks
trying
for
to
taking
understand
an
the business
interest,
model. And I
Alison.
think it's
Yeah, it's great.
important because one of the aspects is this is not going to be people who are, you know, buying a takeaway bottle, drinking it on the street. You know, I'm trying to establish what sort of clientele it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know, we're asking about the opening hours. I think all of that is relevant. So, you know, in terms of understanding your business model, I think I'm entitled to follow this line of questioning. But anyway, I'm pretty much there, I think. I appreciate your help. Thank you.
Thanks, Alison, for taking the time.
Thanks there both. So we'll carry on running through questions to Jonathan, and then Sue, I can bring you in for your representation. Hannah or Andre from Sussex Place, have you got any questions of Jonathan?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thanks, Andre.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. And Sarah, have you got any questions of Jonathan?
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Sue, have you got any questions of Jonathan, or would you prefer to go into your representation?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to make a long representation anyway, but my question basically would be, there's no reason why, if you wanted to offer a free glass of wine to your customers, you couldn't. Is there? I mean, there's no reason in licensing why somebody can't be given a glass of wine with a haircut, or is that, or I don't know. Maybe I need to ask the licensing team. Sarah's put her hand up.
Sarah's indicated.
Because, you know, I've been offered
come
coffee.
in.
I've never been offered. I don't have my haircut, as you can see. But anyway.
Sarah, would you like to address
Yeah,
that?
so just to clarify, so the offering of alcohol when you're paying for a service or some goods does require a license. So for instance, if you go to a concert and you pay a ticket price and there's a free glass of wine in that's not considered free, that's considered the supply of alcohol under the Licensing Act. So
thank you, that's very helpful. So I mean, what I wanted to say really was that I think we have a large number of licensed premises in that area, and we have a big problem, particularly in the area near where the premises is, of alcohol use. And it seems to me that this is changing a business from being hairdressers to being selling wine. And, you know, if you want to set up a business selling wine, that seems fair to me. But to lead it with having your hair cut, because in fact what you're wanting to do is to sell, what he's wanting to do is to sell bottles of wine to people to take home, where they could go into a wine shop, which we've already got enough of. So I don't want to see more in my ward, people generally are very concerned about the amount of alcohol that's available. I know it might be slightly different clientele and it might be different, but it's that sort of idea that we can't have a business. We have the same issue where we're doing events, where we're saying, well, do you really have to have alcohol at this event? And people say, oh, it's the only way to make money. And that seems to me, if we have got a licensing panel and we've got an ability to say no, then we should be saying no to any increase in what we've got, unless it's, there may be issues where it's fine. But I think to have this is a completely new premises because they don't at the moment sell alcohol. So that was why I was opposing it. Obviously they're thinking of ways to make the business work, but that is what happens. I think generally at the moment people are thinking, how can I make this business work? And then they think, oh, if I sell alcohol I'll make more money. But actually alcohol is a huge societal problem. So we've already had objections, I think, from the police for this, and obviously it's at a panel. So I'm just objecting really on behalf of the ward, where we're trying to address the issues of alcohol use within the ward. And it's not a personal thing about hairdressers, but it seems to me that's not a place I would want. It's a different thing, isn't it? In that case, you could say, could we open at a different time from our hair and have a wine club? But I wouldn't be agreeing with that either. But I think that's it. It seems to be getting confused with a business model of hairdressing, where you might, as you've said, you'd have to have a license even to offer a free glass of wine. So, okay, I think that's it really. I'm sorry about my confusion to this morning, and but I really ought to go and join the people that I was supposed to be with this morning, and that I didn't realise.
So, but before you do run off, it's the opportunity for everyone to ask questions of your representative.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
We can let you go. Then we can let you go. So, from members of the panel, are there any questions of Sue's representation?
Yes, I'd like to ask you a question. I think one of the issues that, I don't know if you heard it because obviously you weren't here. One of the issues that we've been discussing is the demise of the high street and the problems that the hair industry is having because people are setting up in their bedrooms or garages. Also that people are having issues on the high street. Hair salons are closing because of the costs of national insurance, employment costs, running a small business, etc. So do you take those things into account? I mean, obviously your ward is not dissimilar to mine, where we're trying to look after local businesses, and as Jonathan has pointed out, he's trying to sort of separate himself a little bit and give himself a bit of a USP, something a bit different. So it doesn't feel like it's going to be like an off license or selling vast amounts of booze. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I've just said what I think. I think the business issue is there are too much competition for hairdressers, I would say. If you wanted to know why they're difficult to make money, you just have to walk down the high street. Every second place is a barbers or a hairdresser, and
Jonathan made that point exactly, that he's
exactly, but
that's barbers, but he's also saying that he's competing against people who are actually operating out of their homes and not paying
okay,
business
you sound
rates.
like you're supporting him. I'm just saying
I have an open mind here, Sue.
Good. Okay. So what I'm saying is that it's difficult for businesses out there. We all recognise that, and I've been having meetings with small businesses in North Lane, etc. But this is a different business model which involves a product which is a dangerous product, and that's why you have a panel. You don't have, he can start selling sweets anytime he wants, I presume, if it's a retail establishment. But there are reasons why we have these panels, because it's a dangerous thing to be increasing the use of for anybody. Go and have your hair done in the middle of the day. Why would you have a glass of wine? We've got a problem with wine drinking in society, haven't we? But anyway, that's a different issue. That's not why I'm objecting. I'm objecting because it's adding an extra establishment and it's actually selling wine to take away as well. So yeah, I mean, yes, of course, we want to see small businesses thrive, but that's a market model, isn't it, of capitalism? Which we might all deplore. But
okay, thanks. Any other questions from the panel members? Okay. Andre or Hannah from Sussex Police, have you got any questions of Sue's representation?
No, thank you, Chair.
Can
No,
I
thank you,
just
Chair.
ask Sue a question?
Please, Andre. Yeah.
No,
Oh, sorry, Jonathan. I'll come to you in a minute, Jonathan. Just ask
sorry,
if Sarah, have you got any questions of Sue?
No, thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, over to you, please, Jonathan.
Hi, Sue. I don't think we've ever met, and I've been here about 18 years. So just wondered, when you saw the application, did you not think to pop in and say hi and have a look at the premises and get a brief view of what we look like and what could possibly be happening prior to the objection?
Well, to be honest, lately I mean, because of the feelings in my ward about these sorts of applications, I've tended to object to things because it's an offline. It is an area where we're not supposed to be granting new licenses.
Yeah.
So just to make sure it goes to a panel so that they can discuss the pros and cons, and they may decide to give a license. But that's why my objection is. I'm happy. I mean, yes, of course, I do call in and see businesses, and I've quite often visited things people before their licensing. But I haven't been to yours. Yeah. That's true, and I'm happy to do that. But I just, it's not a, oh, I objected to you, but I didn't object to other things. I quite often object to things in my ward if other people have pointed them out to me, like in a local action team or whatever. And I know, and that area, I mean, I've been doing quite a lot of work around Gloucester Mews and stuff. There's a lot of issues in that area and a lot of it is to do with issues around drugs and alcohol. So
I'm glad you brought drugs into that, because I don't think when I come to work in the morning.
No, okay, that's the general area that we're, that's why people object, because people are, it's an area where people are on the street a lot.
Yeah, okay. I just don't know if they're drinking a £15 or £20 bottle of Chateauneuf de Pape. I think they're probably drinking cheap woodpecker from Lidl's, or bottles of vodka at £5 a bottle, which is actually the alcohol problem. I don't think there's many people strolling out of Seven Cellars or Henry Butler's store and just sitting on the street drinking it. And yes, you're right, I could open.
No, but we have a general policy about off licenses, and that's why I've objected.
And all I'm asking is that it's seen as a separate thing to an off license, and we are not competing with the guy up the road who's selling 3 bottles of gin for £20. We're not encouraging alcohol abuse. We're just being a part of what is very common alcohol use, and they are two separate things.
Okay, thanks both. So now we can move on to our closing summaries, and this is an opportunity for all parties to provide a closing summary where they're not able to introduce any new information that hasn't already been raised as part of the meeting. So I'm going to begin with Emma, who introduced the application.
Thank you, Chair. The panel has heard from all parties and must now consider whether the applicant has shown exceptional circumstances to depart from the statement of licensing policy. As well as the proposed conditions and off sales, the following were discussed. The applicant clarified the opening hours and the hours they propose to sell alcohol. I'm just going to go through these and hopefully I've got them correct. So Tuesdays, the opening from 9:30 to 6:30 p.m. with alcohol sales from 10 to 6. Wednesdays from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. Thursdays 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday is not a trading day, although appointments can be made if customers are unable to make another date. Alcohol will not be sold on those days, on Mondays. The council has asked for a proposal of conditions to be a member of the wine club, including whether there will be a charge to join the club. The applicant confirmed that only sealed bottles which should be sold to be taken off the premises, and the wine is to be sold by the glass in the salon. The applicant was asked whether just customers could become members or whether it will be open to the public. And also discuss with the possibility of wine tasting evenings. Licensing guidance states that in determining the application with a view to promoting the licensing objectives in the overall interest of the local community, the licensing authority must give appropriate weight to the steps that are appropriate to promote the licensing objectives, the representations, including supporting information presented by all the parties, licensing guidance, and the statement of licensing policy. It's important to note that each application will be given individual consideration on its own merits. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Hannah or Andre, would you like to summarise on behalf of Sussex Police?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, that will be myself. I don't sort of want to go over sort of too much of what I've said, but in summary, you know, we've heard there's the sort of the competition with the hairdressers, and I just sort of feel that the off sales of alcohol, you know, and creating that greater availability isn't necessarily the right way to go. Sussex Police fully support the business, and you know, we've proposed conditions for the on sales aspect that a glass of wine can be purchased alongside a haircut. However, as much as I don't believe the clientele will go on to cause a problem, I also have to remind you that, you know, the clientele walking away with a bottle of wine could also lead to them becoming a victim. One of the statistics that I gave you earlier was violence against the person, of which in the last year, with the dates I read, there were 93 out of the 280 crimes that I read out. So please just bear that in mind when considering the off sales. However, as I've said, we did offer full conditions for the proposed on sales, with conditions that we would be fully happy to support. So please, we ask you to consider the Sussex Police stance for the off sales and our crime and disorder statistics within my speech earlier. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Sarah, would you like to give your closing summary, please?
Thank you. I won't go over everything. I think it's just fair to say that, thank you to Jonathan for explaining everything, and that, as said before, the licensing team act as guardians of the policy, and I've made the representation on behalf of them and invite the panel to scrutinise the application and decide if it constitutes exceptional circumstances to depart from our policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, Jonathan. Would you like to give your closing summary, please?
Yeah, not really much to say. Just thank you for your time with this. I do appreciate it and considering it. I think if you're going to take away anything, that, you know, it isn't you know, because we're in desperate measure that we're trying to sell wine. It's just trying to give our business something that makes it separate from many other hair salons, and just something a bit interesting, you know, that means we can interact with people in the local community in a positive way. We've taken any restrictions you want to put on us in terms of, you know, we don't want to sell cheap wine. We don't want to sell cheap booze at all. We just want to make it quite an exclusive wine offering to some of our exclusive services that we already do. It's just an add-on. It's not a new shop. It's nothing that exciting. It's just a simple add-on to an already established business.
Oh, thanks, Jonathan. Seems like Sue has left us, so she's forfeited her chance to summarise her representation. So we'll move on to ask if Rebecca has got any closing comments as our legal advisor.
Just to say, you know, have you canvassed all the conditions or measures you wish to? I don't know how the in terms of on sales, how it would work for wine tasting if you have conditions that the supply of alcohol be only provided to persons as an ancillary to their hair treatment, things like that. I don't know actually what, I think you've said, Jonathan, that you'd agree to that condition, but then I don't know how.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the only reason I went back on this application and brought it back into from an on sales only was because I didn't realise I'd have to go through the full process again. And the cost to put an advert in the Argus is £600, and the cost of the application is another £190. I would have had to spend nearly £800 to come back to this at a later stage. So that's all that it is, really. I just wanted to just go back on it.
With your membership club, if the panel were minded to grant some kind of limited off sales, and I don't know, you say it would only be to members of the Shine Wine Club and no walk-in customers, but then customers could come in and join the club and then buy it. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, are you aware of I mean, as a premise, we're not on the high street, we're just off the high street, and we're actually down an alleyway, so it's not really, we don't really get any walk-in business anyway. You don't see us from the high street, you don't see us from the street, you have to make an effort to come in. And I'm just sort of looking at hypothetical situations that if somebody did want to come in and say, do you sell wine? My friend bought a bottle last week. What would we do? Well, we would say to them, would you like to join the wine club? And it, maybe a small fee. If you wanted to put some stipulation around that, we'd accept it.
They would have to give they'd have to give their name and address with that, and contact details.
And identification, yeah, they'd have to ID them,
ID.
driver's license or something like that. So yeah, it wouldn't be a simple kind of buy a bottle of wine, please. We're not wine experts either, and people would come into, we don't really want to have to get into the situation where we're going to give people advice on wine, So
I was just checking whether the panel, had whether there was any issues around that, or
Ivan's indicating. Do you want to come in, Ivan?
Yeah, please. Whilst we're on this topic, do we know of any other hairdressers in the city that offer a wine club, or how many? Does anybody have any stats?
Not a wine club. I can't think off the top of my head. We've certainly, I think, probably licensed a few to give the wine, a glass of wine with a haircut, but I can't think of anything with off sales off the top of my head now.
Right, okay, because obviously the applicant wants to differentiate from other hairdressers, but no doubt, and if the panel consents to this, then no doubt other hairdressers will be citing this as an example, and they will be applying. So something's worth considering. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks for that. So if there's no further comments from you, Rebecca, you're okay with what you've said?
I think you've got to consider it in terms of our policy, and see if it constitutes exceptional circumstances, and consider all conditions as well.
Thank you. Okay, so we're now going to adjourn. The panel will retire to make its decision, and we're going to be accompanied by our legal advisor and the clerk to the panel. They won't take part in any of the decision-making process, and the decision will be sent in writing within 5 working days with any appeal rights attached. Thank you all for attending this morning. So,
thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye.